something that, to be fair, we do get an awful lot of calls about. That's from a school's point of view where we work, but also from the public. Concerns and how many. I mean, most getting 2 or 3 a week. At the moment,
Yeah, it'd
roughly.
be safe to say, but we get a few calls a week regarding online safety or the attached sort of incidents around online safety.
Yeah.
And,
Sexting's a big one, isn't it? At the moment?
sexting is a big one, and that will continue to be. I think it seems to be coming to the growing pains.
Yeah, it's a generational
thing these days, and obviously as police officers, we're trying to mitigate that by talking to the children now in the schools and really getting inside, so they understand what happens if they go down that route and they post a picture or do something which isn't in their best interest, perhaps how one, they can sort that out, and two, how we can possibly help them in future.
It's quite interesting as well, because we do actually ask them, what do you think of it? And their response most of the time, well, it's the norm, it's a little bit, we're in a relationship at the time and this is how we talk to each other. So it's good to get their point of view and why they do what they do. So.
And do people come to you with the issues of, exploiting people's pictures? Do children approach you or parents approach you?
Yeah, they do. You'd be quite surprised. We do get approached quite a bit by students themselves saying, look, there's this picture's gone round. We do work really closely with the schools across the island, and again, our role within the police allows us to be able to deal with that and build on that relationship. So, yeah, we do get referrals in from the school itself, but more strangely, for what some people might perceive, is the actual students themselves saying, I'm worried about my friend because this has happened. Can you come in and sort it out for us?
So is that the main way of monitoring online safety, is relying on the people to come to you, or is there anything you look out for in particular or can look out for? As
in relation to looking out for things from a police point of view, we do have tactics, but I can't really discuss them openly on how we monitor and what we do. We're not in a nanny state. Just wanted to clarify that before people jump on that bandwagon. But we do. The referrals come from the young people. We deal with them. We speak to them. We're going in and giving lessons on this subject all the time. How can you tell if a young person? Everybody's different. They react to things in different ways, and that's what we're going to be discussing at some parents' evenings. And as we say to the young people, we'd much rather you come and tell us before it got too much for them, because unfortunately the seriousness of this is that people do take their own lives ultimately, and stated cases all the way across the UK and the rest of the world. We need to keep an eye on our young people.
Every young person is an individual, and that's the sort of opening thing we need to realise and need to get across. And they all do things for different reasons, whether it's to fit in, whether it's to appear cool, or whatever the motivation is behind this thing. Having a little bit more education about what is going on and what can happen, because as we all know, once something goes on the internet, it's there forever, isn't it?
We know people make mistakes. We know young people especially make mistakes, and it's not about criminalising that. It's about, right, okay, I'd much rather make you safe, try and help you with the problem than putting you before any court. That's a no-brainer for us.
Sorry, I was just going to add on that. We work with the government departments that deal with this as well. So we're very much into the signposting aspect of things as well. So if there's something we can't deal with, or we're not getting the correct way or approach, then we will look to find that approach is the way to do it. As Mike says, we don't look down we're working in schools and working with young people. We're long past the nanny state and the big hand of the police coming down on people. That doesn't happen generally these days. There's a lot more for children to deal with these days than perhaps we had to deal with when we were growing up. And
a lot more
that's
pressures.
Well and truly recognised. And if we can stop these things happening, because if you think of it, the way that I've taken it is, when a young person does something, should we say, silly or something like that, they've done something silly. If somebody else then acts on the back of that silliness or for example, shares a photograph. And then we're talking about criminality, then we're talking about really big issues, and perhaps the education about that side of things is where we need to improve, and that's what we're trying to do. Because, again, if somebody shares something, it's a click of a button these days. It is a legitimate criminal offence to do that. Mm-hmm. However, there are other avenues for us to deal with if it's a one-off, if it's not something that's done too maliciously, if it can be talked about properly and openly.
Going back to your original point about how do we capture it, whenever people phone the police, a job is created, and that is kept on record. So, and it's each given its own classification. So we do capture it, we do look at it, and we do monitor it. But as we said, oral in the compact team, or we've got a new team name which we haven't decided on yet.
Yeah.
Is more about the young getting in early and starting that.
In terms of other forms of online safety issues, moving away from sexting, there's trolling, however you pronounce it. How do you know when a line has been crossed in that retrospect? Because it's so difficult to read the tone of a message, and someone can be like playfully abusive to someone. But how do you rely on other people coming forward and saying it's
how it affects the person? It's how it affects the person. As we said, we're all different. We all will react to things in different ways. But if somebody's it's been caused fear, alarm, harassment, or distress, and it's on that person, then and they come forward to us, then we will take that matter up with them, and we will deal with them and try and make it better for them, but also look at how that level of criminality is. It's down to the individual. Somebody might get a message and they might think, well, it's just somebody messing about. Somebody else might get the same message and think, that's really upset me. Because we are, as we said, we don't know what's going on with different people at different times in their lives, and it affects us all differently. It's
incredibly hard to deal with this type of thing because of the personality aspect of it. And with respect to our Attorney Generals, they will have significant issues dealing with things going through courts that may hit certain criteria for the courts to deal with, but maybe the underlying evidence or the underlying tone of it isn't strong enough for a court case. So whereas we can gather evidence, which is our primary job, we can gather the evidence we need to try and push that thing through if it was going to go that far, because there are again other avenues which we look at first. These things are incredibly hard to deal with.